Link TV, connecting you to the world. Link TV is viewer supported. Watch more at linktv.org.
Link TV presents Mosaic World News from the Middle East. Here are today's top stories.
Bin Laden demands France withdraw from Afghanistan or pay dearly. Tunisia begins three-day mourning in honor of fallen protesters. And Gazans attack French minister's car over Shalit comment. Mosaic World News from the Middle East begins now.
Al-Qaeda
leader Osama bin Laden said the release of French hostages held in Niger hinges on the withdrawal of French forces from Afghanistan. In an audio message attributed to bin Laden, he threatened that the French president and people will pay dearly for Sarkozy's refusal to withdraw his country's forces from Afghanistan.
إن رسالتنا لكم بالأمس واليوم واحدة.
Our message to you today and in the past is one and the same. The release of your prisoners held by our brothers is dependent on the withdrawal of your troops from our countries. If you consider this a political dictatum and despicable terrorism, while you consider the expulsion of Hitler's forces from your lands an act of heroism and blessed terrorism, then you are applying a double standard.
أيها الشعب الفرنسي إن رفض رئيسكم الخروج من أفغانستان.
O the French people, your president's refusal to withdraw from Afghanistan stems from his subordination to the US. This refusal is nothing but a green light for the immediate killing of your prisoners, so he can rid himself of the prisoner's case and its consequences. Nevertheless, we will not do it at a time determined by him. His position will cost both him and you dearly on several fronts, in France as well as abroad.
داخل فرنسا وخارجها ولا يخفى عليكم.
You are fully aware that, given the extent of your debts and the weakness of your economy, you can do without opening new fronts.
وفي أول رد فعل فرنسي على وعيد بن لادن قالت الخارجية الفرنسية إنها
In the first French reaction to bin Laden's threat, the foreign ministry said it is determined to pursue its mission in Afghanistan. Earlier this month, French forces carried out a military operation in Niger near the Mali border in order to free two French citizens held by armed members of Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb.
يأتي التسجيل الحالي بعد أيام منذ فشل عملية نفذتها قوات فرنسية في النيجر قرب الحدود.
The current audio recording comes days after French forces carried out a failed rescue operation to release two French citizens in Niger near the Mali border. The two young Frenchmen, Antoine Delacour and his friend Vincent Delaury, died during an attempt to rescue them from Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb.
ذكرته مصادر مطلعة وقتئذ فإن الرهينتين قتلا بنيران الجنود الفرنسيين.
According to sources familiar with the case, the two hostages were killed by the French soldiers' gunfire. However, French Defense Minister Alain Juppé said the two hostages were found dead following two clashes. The first broke out between the kidnappers and Niger forces, while the second occurred between the kidnappers and Niger forces backed by French forces. Other sources reported the death of four armed men, while the organization only reported the death of one member. The incident sparked French outrage, and French President Nicolas Sarkozy described it as a heinous crime, saying it reinforces his country's determination to fight what he called terrorism and terrorists. In July 2010, the killing of a French hostage, engineer Michel Germano, was also announced. The organization held him in the Niger desert, along with his Algerian driver, in April 2010. His death was announced in July 2010, following a military operation carried out by Mauritanian army units with the support of nearly 30 French special forces. He was killed after the deadline set by the organization expired on July 26, 2010. In Afghanistan, the story of two French hostages has not ended. They are being held in the eastern Kapisa province, where most French forces operating with the NATO forces forces are deployed.
في إطار قوات حلف شمال الأطلسي أسر مسلحون من طالبان الصحفيين.
Armed Taliban members captured journalist Hervé Guesquiel and Stéphane Paponnier, along with their 3 Afghan companions, at the end of 2009. The Taliban accuses the journalists of spying in a region it controls and said the information they gathered was not needed by journalists, but by spy agencies. The 2 French citizens are still held by the Taliban. National mourning started in Tunisia today in honor of the victims of the uprising that lasted an entire month and claimed the lives of over 100 Tunisians, killed by police of former President Zine El Abidine Ben Ali. The mourning was the first decision implemented by the interim government. It made the decision, among others, in its first meeting yesterday. The government ratified a general amnesty draft bill and rushed the work of 3 committees formed to look into political reform and investigate violations recorded since the uprising began in Sidi Bouzid last month. It confirmed that it will deal with the bribery and corruption linked to the former president, his family, and his wife's family. The Tunisian government's first meeting comes despite continued demonstrations. Protesters are calling for the current government to be dissolved, the constitutional democratic rally that ruled the country to be disbanded, and for the removal of RCD members from government positions and political functions. Europe is finally taking action regarding the situation in Tunisia in what seems to be an attempt to rectify its position, shamed by the mobilization of the Tunisian street. The European Union will impose sanctions against Zine El Abidine Ben Ali by freezing his assets and those of his family, relatives, and his close officials. This decision will not take effect until it is approved by EU foreign ministers in their meeting on the 23rd of this month.
Kirkuk's Arab residents, inspired by the events in Tunisia, threatened to trigger a revolution against Kurdish security agencies in the city. They accuse these agencies of repressing their rights. More details in the following report.
The distance between Kirkuk, described as Little Iraq, and Tunis did not stand in the way of some Kirkuk residents who seem to have been affected by the Tunisian revolution that toppled the ruling regime and threatened a repeat of this revolution. They described their goal as the removal of some elements in the province. In a sharp escalation, Kirkuk's Arab residents threatened to trigger a revolution against the city's Kurdish security agencies they accuse of repressing their rights.
Let our brothers, the political leaders, look at what happened in Tunisia. Everyone witnessed the mobilization of the citizens. Our Arab citizens will react as well. They will no longer stand idly by. The same way Tunisian masses marched and toppled the president of the republic in just a few days, we will remove these agencies from Kirkuk.
The Arab Political Council's warning came in response to what it described as arbitrary arrests and subsequent detention in secret prisons, carried out by agencies affiliated with Kurdish parties against the Arabs in Kirkuk province. The council blamed the continued crisis in the province on the central government.
After 2003, Arabs in Kirkuk were subjected to an arrest campaign organized by Sayesh and Peshmerga forces and security agencies operating under the control of 2 Kurdish parties and American forces. Those arrested were placed in secret prisons, where some still are today, outside the jurisdiction of the judiciary and law.
It could be a problem in Kirkuk, but it's an issue for all of Iraq. The weakness of the federal government is causing this issue because it is not fulfilling its duties.
It seems that a political consensus within parties in the central government does not imply the same for the representatives in Kirkuk. Observers confirm the battle is different and is linked to the long-term presence of these parties. At the same time, they point out that political agreements complicated Kirkuk's problem, especially after deals were brokered by the president of the Kurdish government.
For more on this issue, we are joined by Kurdistan Alliance representative, Mr. Khalid Shawani. Welcome.
Thank you.
Mr. Khalid, what is your response to the accusations you just heard in the report?
These are not accusations. This is a call for war and ethnic fighting in Kirkuk province. It is also a call to break the law and a call for hostilities. Such a call is unlawful and inconsistent with a modern state and a democracy. They are taking advantage of democratic principles in an attempt to incite national and sectarian conflicts. Such statements cannot pass peacefully by because this call targets the Kurdish presence in the province. These extremist statements are not serving the reality in Kirkuk, and we demand they regain their senses because they will be responsible for any tension that occurs in Kirkuk.
Relatives of Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails protested French Foreign Minister Michel Alliot-Marie's visit to Gaza by throwing eggs and shoes at her motorcade. Protesters blocked her motorcade when it entered the Gaza Strip via the Beit Hanun-Eretz border crossing north of the Gaza Strip. The protesters were expressing their anger over a comment attributed to her that said the abduction of Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit represents a war crime. Hamas condemned the comments as biased towards Israel and reflecting a double standard. Shukti Al-Kashif reports from Gaza.
Get out of Gaza! Get out of Gaza!
Amid this anger, French Foreign Minister Michel Alliot-Marie was met near the northern entrance of the Gaza Strip by relatives of Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails. Alliot-Marie, who arrived from Israel, angered Palestinians with comments attributed to her, saying that the abduction of Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit represents a war crime.
Thousands of our Palestinian brothers are held captive in prison. They are enduring hardship as they are anxiously waiting to be reunited with their children. She's defending a criminal soldier, a child killer.
The scene was replayed here at the headquarters of UNRWA. Observers believe the fact that no security officers were present shows that the Hamas-led government was not pleased with the minister's comments.
I want to tell the minister if she misses one person, we miss all of our children. Look, this is Palestinian blood, my son's blood. My son was not killed on a tank. He was killed on his way home in an Israeli airstrike. Where's the international community?
During the minister's visit to the Quds hospital, anger spiraled out of control. Protesters pelted her car with eggs, shoes, and rocks.
God is great. Oh yes. Break it, break it.
However, calm was quickly restored after the Hamas-led security forces in Gaza decided to intervene.
إن السلام لا يمكن أن يتم دون إقامة دولة فلسطينية مستقلة.
Peace can be achieved without establishing an independent Palestinian state with Gaza as part of it. In the name of freedom and dignity which unite us, we ask the Israeli government to lift the blockade on the Gaza Strip.
Appelle Israël à y mettre fin.
While the French minister declined to answer journalists' questions on the Shalit issue, Palestinian officials who met with her said she strongly denied issuing the statement.
She strongly denied issuing such comments. She said she didn't say such a thing and that the news agency misquoted her and confused her statement with a statement issued by Shalit's father.
Despite her supportive position for peace and for lifting the blockade on Gaza, her remarks about Shalit have stirred anger and resentment here in the Gaza Strip, especially considering that she failed to mention the more than 8,000 Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails. Shukti Al-Kashif, BBC, the Gaza Strip.
The French foreign minister went to the Qassam-scarred city of Sderot after her visit to Gaza, where she told residents that it is her nation's desire to help in peace negotiations with the Palestinians in an effort to lift the threat of rocket fire from the southern city. Today's events follow meetings Alliot-Marie held with Israeli leaders yesterday. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu briefed the French foreign minister on Israel's plan to decrease Gaza's dependence on Israel through European Union assistance in building a water desalination facility, power plant, and sewage treatment system in the Hamas-controlled area. The plan was initially broached by Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman, who earlier in the day warned his French counterpart of what he called a dangerous gap in relations between Israel and the Palestinian Authority. He pointed out that just last week, the government authorized more than 5,000 additional jobs for Palestinians within Israel. Lieberman said that the PA responded with criticism and insults, including anti-Israel invective at the UN Security Council, where Israel was condemned for all possible sins. The foreign minister warned that Israel cannot allow the continuation of such a situation. He then pointed to what he called the hypocrisy of the Arab League, which he said works energetically in condemning Israel while ignoring other issues no less critical to the Middle East, such as the situations in Tunisia, Lebanon, and Iraq. Turning to Washington, where U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton said that the Obama administration is opposed to Palestinian efforts to pressure the UN Security Council into condemning Israeli building in West Bank communities, but she stopped short of saying that the U.S. intends to veto such a resolution.
With respect to activities concerning the Israeli and Palestinian efforts that we and others support, there is a quartet meeting of envoys going on in Jerusalem in the next day to discuss the way forward. We continue to believe strongly that the only way that there will be a resolution of the conflict and a two-state solution that will result in an independent, viable Palestinian state and security for Israel is through a negotiated settlement. Therefore, we don't see action in the United Nations or any other forum as being helpful in bringing about that desired outcome. Our position on settlements remains as it has been. I clearly spoke out about that on many occasions and will continue to do so.
Deputy Secretary General of Iranian Supreme National Security Council, Abdel-Fadl Zohraban, said the first round of nuclear talks in Istanbul between Iran and the P5+1 world powers was held in a positive atmosphere. Zohraban reiterated that his country will not discuss any suspension of its uranium enrichment activities. 2 more rounds are scheduled, one for later today and the other for Saturday.
أوحت الجولة الأولى من المباحثات الجارية بين إيران والدول الست.
The first round of nuclear talks in Istanbul between Iran and the 6 leading powers was held amid trust and a positive atmosphere, as confirmed by a member of the Iranian delegation. The Iranian officials said that representatives of the 6 powers, including EU policy chief Catherine Ashton, recognize Iran's right to attain nuclear technology.
وحصولها على التكنولوجيا النووية.
The difference between this round of talks and previous ones is that Ashton, along with other members, has recognized Iran's nuclear rights. They are looking for ways to help Iran attain nuclear technology, and this is a positive step. Our next step is to force them to recognize our right to develop a full nuclear fuel cycle.
The
Iranian official confirmed that his country's right to develop nuclear energy for peaceful use is a red line that can't be crossed in this round of talks or others.
During the Istanbul meeting, we will not allow any discussion that suggests we halt or suspend our uranium enrichment activities. Until this minute, the issue has not been discussed or raised by any side. We will not allow any discussion over Iranian nuclear rights.
هذه اللهجة الإيرانية القاطعة تؤكد ثقة الإيرانيين بحقوقهم في المسار النووي.
This unequivocal position adopted by Iran shows its determination to pursue its nuclear rights. Western powers are realizing that forcing the Islamic Republic to give up these rights is not an option. This is what transpired during the 2-hour session this morning.
والتي استمرت ساعتين تلتها لقاءات ثنائية بين الوفد الإيراني
The first round is followed by bilateral meetings held between the Iranian delegation on one side and each of the 6 world delegations on the other, in preparation for the final and decisive round scheduled for Saturday.
political situation in Lebanon is filled with uncertainty. Tensions seem to be brewing amongst rival parties. The leader of the Progressive Socialist Party has held a press conference in the past hour in which he talked about the political crisis in the country, but refused to say who he will support in the parliamentary discussion on the country's next prime minister. Press TV's Beirut correspondent Ali Risk joins me right now via satellite to talk about Mr. Jumblatt's comments. Ali, he talked about almost everything except for the $1 million question, that who he will support for prime minister.
Well, actually, he was ambiguous in his comments. However, he did give a message which many people interpreted as saying that he would support the opposition, the resistance. When he said, "I will stand with Syria and the resistance," he said members of my party would stand with Syria and the resistance, without actually saying that we will vote for them. However, when he said we will stand with them, many people here, as I said, interpreted that as him saying that he would support the choice of the opposition. Now, of course, the March 14 figures are refusing to say that. They say that his choice was not clear, that his stance wasn't made clear in the statements which he made. But we have to remember one thing, is that Walid Jumblatt did pay a visit to Syria, and just yesterday he sent an envoy to Syria as well. So if you take that into consideration and you add that to the statements which he made when he said, "I will stand with Syria and Hezbollah," without actually saying I would vote for their candidate, then there is a high possibility we could conclude that there is a very big chance that that was the message he was actually conveying, that he would support Hezbollah's choice or support the resistance's choice for the post of Prime Minister. Anyway, that stance would become, I think, would be clarified in the parliamentary consultations which will be held on Monday. However, one other thing, if I could say as well, a very important term which he mentioned, he said nobody in Lebanon can cancel out the other side. No side can cancel out the other side, meaning even if he does vote for the opposition's choice, he would not take part in a government of one color solely for the opposition, nor would he take part in another government which is solely for March 14. Hence, what he was saying is that he endorses again a national unity government, a government which is not solely for one side, which I think was a very, very important stance, and which also points to the fact that the process of government formation might take very long in light of what Jumblatt said. He also, of course, did say that he was ready to cooperate with any new Turkish Qatari efforts, meaning that he was ready to play any kind of mediation role, or he was ready to cooperate in any new outside efforts to solve the situation. He went out of his way actually to present himself as being a central figure. He criticized on one hand the tribunal, on the other hand he also spoke of Saad Hariri. At certain times he quoted what Saad Hariri said, and he said he supports Hariri's comments of resorting to the constitution. So in general he presented himself as a central figure, a figure which wants to reach, which wants to play a role of mediation and being a bridge to bring both sides together. However, in my point of view, I think he did signal as well that he will vote for the choice of the opposition in the next parliamentary elections without agreeing to participate in any government of one color.
The Iraqi Ministry of Planning confirmed that the number of unemployed Iraqis has reached 1 million. Meanwhile, experts warn that government employment measures are not the answer to unemployment, saying that such measures may have a negative impact on government institutions.
قضية البطالة تعد من أهم التحديات التي تواجه الوسط السياسي.
Unemployment is considered one of the most critical challenges facing the Iraqi government, especially considering the vast majority of proposed remedies will not resolve the problem completely. Meanwhile, the number of unemployed Iraqis is continuing to rise. In a new survey, the Iraqi Ministry of Planning confirmed that the number of unemployed in Iraq has reached 1 million. The Planning Ministry's Undersecretary, Mahdi al-Alak, said that the 2011 government employment measures are not sufficient, adding that unemployment has reached unprecedented levels in the country.
مشيرا إلى أن التوظيف الحكومي.
Al-Alak added that in general, government employment measures are not sufficient enough to eliminate the problem. He warned that such measures may cause other problems inside government institutions, such as disguised unemployment. Al-Alak further said that the government agencies may only be able to accommodate a small number of job applicants, especially considering that most of them are not hiring.
يسعى إلى إجراء مسح جديد لمؤشرات التشغيل والبطالة في العراق وأعرب عن الأمل.
Alak also confirmed that the Central Bureau of Statistics is conducting a new survey on indicators of employment and unemployment in Iraq that will hopefully be completed later this year. The Ministry of Planning and Development Cooperation confirmed the high rates of underemployment in Iraq. The ministry added that the number of jobs the government is planning to create in 2011 is not sufficient to eliminate unemployment. Iraq has been suffering from unemployment for many years. However, the number of unemployed has been growing, and today it exceeds 1 million.
حتى وصلت إلى المليون مقارنة بعام 2008 حين كان عدد.
A 2008 government survey estimated the number of unemployed in Iraq to be 750,000. Meanwhile, a number of civil society organizations said that government statistics are not accurate and do not represent all segments of society, adding that the number of unemployed in Iraq exceeds 1.5 million. Observers believe job creation will become more difficult in the coming years, especially in the absence of effective government plans to activate the role of the private sector, as well as encourage foreign investment in Iraq.
The views expressed on Mosaic are from contributing broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible by grants from the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, the Firedoll Foundation, and by support of viewers like you. Thank you. Watch Mosaic World News online. Stay up to date with breaking news, read our blog, get transcripts of past shows, and more at linktv.org/mosaic.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs which connect you to the world.